I remember we still paid in Belgian francs when I was young, and then when the euro came, everything became so much more expensive. So that's the kind of thing we don't want to see, right? Also, the way the EU dictates all the laws now, we basically have a supranational organization, and the countries are basically departments in under the EU. Of course, the countries have still their own sovereignty on paper, but if for example you look at the health crisis of 5 years ago, then all the health mandates, all the policies like lockdowns that were done through the WHO, which is a sub-organization of the United Nations, which is another of those supranational organizations that is created by these elites. But before we go on, what is your impression of the European Union, and how would you compare that to maybe a North American Union that is going to come? Like, what do you want to see, and what do you don't want to see, based on your experience of living inside of the European Union in Belgium?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not as familiar with the European Union as you are, the whole ins and outs of that. But one thing that I think of right away is, USA and Canada are two countries. Europe has several, like how many countries are in the European Union?
Oh, I don't know it exactly, but it's
There's
over
so many,
20,
yeah,
definitely.
so many countries are in the European Union with very different cultures. Okay, there's the European sensibility that is very similar within all the European countries, but there's also the particular cultures of each of those several different countries, like over 20 countries in the European Union. Would that be correct?
Yes, definitely,
right?
more. Yeah.
Whereas Canada and the US would just be two countries. Okay, who knows about Mexico? We'll see about that. That already have very big similarities. Yes, there are some big differences, but I don't know. I would see it, and I could be wrong, I just feel it would be more positive than what the European Union is. And maybe it could be more particular in its structure and regulations because it's only based off two countries rather than a European Union that's for a whole bunch of different countries that might be in completely different situations. I think if Canada and US make some kind of merger, it might be easier to navigate. I could be wrong about that. That's just like my gut level feeling around it.
Yeah, you make a very good point there, because there's a very similar culture, and in Europe it's very different. In Europe, I see it's basically it's the elites, those elites that have put this down on us, and basically a lot of the sovereignty is giving up because we're just following the mandates of the EU and the WHO. So it's kind of this forced global thing. So indeed, I would say when it would be kind of more a natural thing, a natural coming together of countries, it would be better. Of course, when there would